How's everybody doing today? How's everybody weathering the Terra storm?
So far, so good. Uh, I didn't have I didn't have a position in Terra, but um, a bit back, someone made a suggestion that well before all of this happened, a suggestion was made to transfer all funds for the project into UST. Uh, I don't. We didn't do that, and so yeah. Hindsight, it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty nuts to see what's happening right now, but I just hope everyone that was involved gets out, unscathed.
Yeah, I think that probably feels like, oh, here we go. Micro's here. Um, and we can get started. And okay, we're all here, so we can get started and get underway. Thank you everybody who's been able to join us. Thank you all the speakers. So this is Waypoint. This is Twitter Spaces, co-produced by Sanctor Capital and United Gamers, to kind of bring attention to all of the cool and important things that are happening around Web3 gaming. My name's Ilya Abagov. I'm one of the co-founders and partners at Sanctor Capital, and we focus on helping early stage teams in the blockchain space, particularly around metaverse and gaming. So this is a topic near and dear to our heart. And what follows is kind of a lot of mandatory disclosures. First of all, this session is being recorded, and there's going to be kind of a recording posted afterwards. And as I said, disclosures, none of this is financial or legal advice. All of the opinions are my own. There may be projects that being discussed today where Sanctor Capital or myself, we may hold positions or be interested in acquiring positions or have had positions. In the interest of full disclosure, we're backing both United Gamers and Rainicorn, who will be speaking today. And I think that covers all of things I had to say. So without further ado, I want to introduce some of our speakers. We have a lot of really smart, exciting people. So I'll just kind of point to you and ask you to introduce yourself. Please kind of just say who you are and what you do in the space and how you got into Web3 gaming, and we'll get underway. So first on my screen is Myrtle. So let's start with you.
Hi,
Hello.
everyone. Hello. Hi. Good evening or good morning to where you guys are at. I think it's pretty lucky that everyone is here because I'm pretty sure that everyone will be learning quite a lot from our space tonight. So, my name is Myrtle Sarasa. So, I'm quite known here in the Philippines for being a cosplayer, and I'm also on TV as a TV show host for a science show. But a lot of people also know me here in the Web3 space as someone who was early and pioneered into streaming NFT games and play to earn games. I got into the space by getting some of my viewers to invite me to be their manager, and I ended up to be their manager to quite a lot of scholars, to around 60 scholars. And right now I work for marketing for multiple games, triple A games mostly, but I also do quite a lot of marketing for play to earn games, for games that gives opportunities for a lot of people to earn while they play. So I'm pretty excited to share my experience with you all and hopefully empower everyone here to maximize their power, their skills in gaming, and making sure that they have opportunities to play and earn at the same time. So I'm pretty excited to speak with you all. Thanks, Ilya, for inviting me.
Awesome. That's quite a resume. Thank you for joining us. RJ, you're next up on my screen. So you're up.
Hi, thank you, Ilya. So, hi, everyone. I'm RJ. I'm one of the co-founders of United Gamers DAO. We're basically a new launch DAO. You might previously know us as United Gamers Guild. So we rebranded as United Gamers DAO. So we're a newly launched DAO that aims to bring gamers to Web3 through tournament play. Actually, I came from a traditional esports background. Actually, been into the esports industry for more than 10 years already. I'm one of the people who started Mineski. So Yeah, I transitioned from Web 2 to Web 3 when I saw a lot of my friends playing Axie Infinity. Being a crypto trader and a gamer, I thought it was already a match made in heaven because I get to do things that I love. So, yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much. And given that we're talking about trading cards games today, I feel like we'll come back to esports a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Mika, Michael, you're up next on my screen.
Hey, thanks for having me on, and hello everyone. So my background, I was actually in TradeFi for about a decade, but I've always kept up to date with the crypto space. And I think similar to a lot of folks here, my first exposure to P2E gaming was Axie Infinity. So that was the perfect storm for me because I have an investing background. I love strategy games and playing games. So, marrying crypto and gaming together was perfect for me. So I dove in, I played a bunch more games, and the most recent one has been Krabata, and more I'm playing other games on the Avalanche C chain. So that's how I got into it. And I took the jump into Web3 fully a couple of weeks ago when I co-founded P2E Analytics with my partner. And our website is alpha stage now, p2analytics.com. We're aiming to provide data for players so they can optimize their gameplay. We're going to come up with portfolio tracking tools so you can track all your NFTs and rewards across games. And so you can also discover new games too that are suitable for you. So pretty excited about getting into the Web3 journey full on.
Very synonymous journey to me. I probably started playing trading card games way before as a kid. So, and then I joined TradFi. So, but this does resonate with me a lot. African Beard, please introduce yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. Uh, yeah, I'm the co-founder of Five Head Games. We're an org that focuses on producing games that gamers, enjoy. Um, the first game we currently have under our belt is called Ender's Gate. It's a NFT TCG, and I currently operate as the lead writer and game director. Uh, on my bout of getting into Web3 gaming, well, I went to school for computer engineering. I then transitioned to computer information systems, and then I branched off to do a bit of marketing. Um, but basically, I grew up playing TCGs, specifically Yu-Gi-Oh! And at an early age, I began familiarizing myself with collectibles. Eventually, I got into games such as FIFA, 2K, and I fell in love with the aspect of collecting. Eventually, I realized you weren't really owning the stuff that you're buying. So when I learned about NFTs and Web3, it's like a storm hit me, and I was like, whoa. And I put together a team, and we started Five Head Games, and our first game would be Ender's Gate.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. I'm a big Yu-Gi-Oh gamer. That's how I started my trading card game journey. So, yeah, this
Yeah,
this, this
you
speaks
like
to
that.
me. Artkin, last but not least, yeah, please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Ilya. So I am the co-founder and game designer at Rainy. Rainy was originally launched as an NFT platform, and my business partner and I have finance and tech backgrounds, respectively. But we really wanted to do something that we were passionate about and also wanted to provide utility for the NFTs dropped through our platform. Since we're both lifelong gamers, and since I in particular have extensive experience with TCGs like Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering, we decided to build an NFT TCG that is primarily focused on engaging gameplay and a high level of polish, but complete with some crypto references to keep things lighthearted and fun, and make it play to earn to add some incentives to the player base. With that in mind, we started building Rainy, the Lords of Light, or RTLOL for short. And we're excited to be rolling out the alpha for that very soon. We're just in the final stages of tweaking. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So now that everybody's been introduced, let's start with a nice and easy question. Anybody can jump on and respond, and hopefully we'll get a nice discussion going. Everybody in the audience, towards the end, with about 15 minutes left, I'm going to start asking for audience questions. So, if you have questions, hold your questions till the end, and we'll be happy to invite you to speak. But to start, I just want to kind of learn a little bit about how everybody got into Web3 TCG. We've heard Yu-Gi-Oh, we've heard Magic the Gathering, but I'm curious where everybody's journey began.
The introduction was, Axie. And when I saw everything that was happening, well, the idea was there, but then once I saw Axie do it, I said, "Wow, okay, it's achievable." And yeah, it's pretty insane because you'd see people like in other countries making a killing, right? They'd start playing and then they'd be making more than a traditional job there, and it just made it pretty. It made it accessible for everyone, especially with it being web based and whatnot.
Me as well. I actually started with Axie too. So what happened was I was streaming Call of Duty and some other games, and then I got a lot of people commenting, telling me to be their manager. I think this was around February or March of last year, and I got an email of people inviting me to come hop into Axie Infinity, and I was quite intrigued by it because I play a lot of games. I stream a lot of games, and just the concept of having a game where you guys can earn while you play was really exciting for me, especially since I spend so much on games. Uh like whenever I have a job, I would always like invest quite a lot of my money into the games that I play. So I found it really interesting that you could really own the assets that you have in the game. And this time around, you could sell them, trade them, and at the same time, breed them, get more of your assets, flip your assets. And I found it really exciting. And I think it was March of last year where I started a store because I realized that there was quite a lot of people who wanted to start their play to earn journey but did not have the background into crypto or buying these assets. So we started a store, and it was pretty crazy how many gamers hopped into Axie with me. So that was my story of how I started my play to earn journey.
Yeah, I could go next. So, yeah, as I mentioned, it was Axie Infinity for me too. And the way I came across it was, I was keeping up to date in the crypto space just from, learning what's out there, DeFi, NFTs, and investing as well. And, when the AXS token was having a massive run up, everyone was talking about it. And that's how it came across maybe it was my Twitter feed. Can't remember exactly, but I looked into it and I dug in more and I was like, wow, this is a massive use case for NFTs. And as I read more and more about it, I realized that each of these games are standalone economies. If you think about it, right, they have their reward token, governance token, there's inflation rates you got to consider, population trends. So, and having an investing background, economics degree, I loved analyzing that too and playing the game as well. So with that in mind, I tested out more games. And in terms of how I end up fully into Web3, when I started playing Krabata, I started posting insights on the game's economy. And that got a pretty decent following, and people wanted me to cover more games. And that's how I started doing P2E analytics, providing the data that I was putting out in threads and automating that for everyone else.
Yeah, for me, it's the same with everyone else. I started with Axie Infinity. I'm a huge Magic the Gathering player. So when in Mercado of YGG mentioned to me that there's a card game that you can earn because in Magic the Gathering, I'm just the one spending. So when she mentioned to me that there's a game a card game you can earn, I tried it with her. Then yeah, there's this history, but yeah, I think Axie Infinity really opened the door to like play to earn here in the Philippines.
I might break the mold here and go on a different direction, because although I was aware of Axie Infinity, I think the main motivation for us with RT LOL came from inspiration from a couple of card games like Parallel within the Web3 space for the pack drop, and then Gods Unchained and Splinterlands for a functioning card game within the Web3 world. That's mostly because we knew from the outset we really wanted to make an amazing quality TCG, rather than considering any of the other game modes for our initial release, just because that's where the passion is. I'm still, for about a decade now, Hearthstone, and about twice that long MTG, and all the great games like Gwent have at least tried to take as much inspiration from them as possible, and combine into some form of creative new game that we're making through RT LOL, which hopefully takes the best of everything in some novel new use cases.
I was wondering if somebody's going to mention Gods Unchained or Splinterlands, or if it's going to be a straight run of Axie. But since Axie got mentioned, Axie became the gateway for a lot of players coming from Web 2. But Axie's been having kind of a rough period recently. So I'm curious, kind of, because everybody has different perspectives here. I'm curious, where do you see the challenges for Axie, and are they symptomatic of all kind of Web3 trading card games? Michael, maybe you start this one since you're the analyst.
Yeah, happy to. So I think Axie seems to be transitioning in the direction that I think a lot of games will go to, which is having a free-to-play element, focusing more on the esports segment of it, where the very skilled players are getting the higher portion of the rewards. And if you're not really a very skilled player, you either get no rewards or very little ones. And the Axie before, I would say, and if they had kept to the same model where everyone was winning roughly the same amount, that would have been the symptom of what everyone's going to experience. But I think that's the transition you're going to go into, is having the rewards be more applicable to the higher end players. And I also believe that, these games, they don't necessarily have to always have this super inflationary token that's going to drop in value. The game should be managed more frequently from an economy perspective. So if the inflation rate's too high, you don't have to wait 3-4 months to make adjustments to the rewards or the burnings of fees related to breeding. I think more frequent management could be required to make these more sustainable. And at the end of the day, people, start off making a lot of money on this stuff. I don't think the industry should be focused on everyone making tons of money, right? The rewards should be an element of, having fun and also gaining something on the side. So that's one viewpoint, is that I think there's doomsayers out there that think that the model is flawed. I don't think so. It's still a very experimental phase, but seems Axie and some of the other ones are heading to the right direction.
I think the problem that Axie is facing is they don't have any case study, because they are the case study. They're the ones leading the pack. They're the ones trailblazing this whole thing, and they will be the one who will basically do the trial and error thing. Right? And I think I want to touch upon what Nico has said, that uh, the problem is that majority of the people entered Axie with the hopes that they can earn a lot of money, right? So the gameplay is just secondary on their mind. So it created a strong selling pressure every time they can withdraw their SLP, thus creating this economic imbalance. So I think they right now they are doing a great job in transitioning to a play and earn from play to earn. So I think they'll be focusing more on the gameplay, as we've seen in their origins right now, that there are a lot of tweakings, there's a lot of balance or patching that's happening, and they are really now listening to the community. So I think that's the right path, and soon enough, with with people realizing that gameplay should be the main priority of all these games, I think we will be having a stronger economy they since it will create true gamers, not farmers.
Yeah, 100% agree with Jinto and Miko right here. Um, yeah, definitely. Axie is essentially like the guinea pig. They've accomplished some really cool things. We've seen their market cap hit upwards of I think like 7 bill, and then uh, it went back to they saw their issues. Inflation was a major problem, and we I'm pretty sure. So this is something that Artkin could probably even attest to. Uh, we take a lot of we look at what these games have done, especially Gods Unchained. One big thing being they launched on a blockchain that uh, you know has really high transaction fees, and looking at other blockchains is also something you could do with trying to keep fees low for the players. um but in general, yeah, definitely teaming up with Solidity developers, doing a lot of research on tokenomics and making sure you're not too inflationary is one big key to the longevity of these games.
For me, I completely agree with RJ. I really think that Axie uh, had quite they didn't have someone that they could depend upon to for a formula of success. So I really do believe that they're doing something to make a change for the community. Like, we have to remember that in Web 2, everyone here was playing multiple games where they didn't really own what they have. I used to buy so many card packs. I actually work as marketing for multiple TCG games. So you buy multiple card packs, then to realize that, if it's on Web 2, you can't exactly own them. It's hard to trade them as well. But in Web 3, you have this opportunity to really own what you have and also put that scarcity into the items that you have inside the game. And although it's quite challenging for Axie, what I really like that they're doing is right now they're listening to their community. They're building, and putting people in multiple areas. Like, for example, here in the Philippines, they've assigned someone to actually get the opinion of the community. It's really a challenge to listen to everybody, but they're really doing their best, and they've paved way for multiple other games where everyone has this opportunity to earn from their skills into gaming. I have to be completely honest. Previously, people had there's only quite a few people who could turn a career into gaming. Number one was streamers like myself, or pro players, but it was quite complicated to earn from gaming. But now in Web3, and because of Axie, we've opened so many opportunities for people who are just skilled, or people who have the time to play to actually earn. So I'm pretty excited about what's in store for us.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add to what everyone said, I pretty much agree across the board with a lot of the points that have been made, um, is that from I guess, a game design perspective and a tokenomics perspective, I think it's really important for game developers in this space to identify a large number of sinks with levers that can be pulled as necessary to take tokens out of the economy. I think one of the issues with Axie's model being the flagship and paving the way, we can all learn from the difficulties they face. But for example, the no fixed max supply of the SLP token has caused that massively inflationary effect where the price has seen a lot of downward pressure over time. And then I think it's also a good idea to try to think outside the square. So for example, in our TLOL, the trading card game is going to be like the flagship game within a broader metaverse world. And that metaverse world will allow players to transact on a marketplace, buy and sell equipment, and Rainy will take a fee for each of those transactions. So the plan is that the protocol revenue will be redistributed to players over the long run, so that with enough network growth of the game, that should replace the token emissions and reduce the pressure on the inflation of the token, to get a bit more of a sustainable economy from there. So just, I think, yeah, the main thing is just looking at all the games that are out there and try to take all of the lessons that you possibly can, and then think outside the square to come up with what model you think will be sustainable over the long term.
Yeah, I agree with Artkin, and I want to bring up one more point too, is Axie has been the pioneer, but because of them, people have tried to already implement different models and strategies, taking on what they have learned from it. And for example, creating more syncs, like Artkin said, Krabata that I've been playing a lot, for example, they launched their own subnet on Avalanche, which is maybe the equivalent roughly to Ronin that Axie has. And instead of creating a new token for the gas fees, like Axie did the RON token for Ronin, Krabata used their reward token, which is TUS, as the gas fee on their blockchain. So that created another sync for the token, which helps stabilize the prices, because every time the token is used, a part of it is being burned as gas fees. And finally, for example, on the marketplace, Krabata is using their native reward token to price the NFTs. So it creates a little bit more demand for the token on a net basis when players want to transact on a marketplace. Whereas for Axie, I think recently when I checked, I don't know if it's changed now, it used to be, at least at the starting point, everything was priced in Ethereum. So that created more selling pressure because people would have to convert to Ethereum to buy NFTs. So there's a lot of experiments out there now too with different models. So we'll see which one's going to be the standard. But that's right, you need to create more syncs.
It's really nice to hear so much love for Axie during hard times. I think it really kind of signifies, something special about the whole gaming community, that, even in tough times, we kind of show respect and love for the project that kind of paved the way. I want to touch base on something, we talked a lot about kind of user onboarding and the experience. And I wonder if, the speakers here feel there's something special about trading card games that made them kind of the trailblazing genre, right? Like, people mention Axie a lot, but also Gods Unchained, Splinterlands. Is there something about trading card games that kind of lends themselves to Web3, both for kind of gamers and developers?
Yeah, well, in my opinion, I see TCGs transitioning real well to Web3, because the technology is really just, they complement themselves really well. Uh, the one thing that I just feel the space is kind of lacking is, well, not the space, I should say the space outside of Web3 and blockchain gaming. It's just user education. People right now, there's like a negative stigma around crypto in general. So people don't want to take a chance to look at what, the other applications of things such as NFTs and earning, play to earn could be. um yeah, it just feels like there's many benefits to TCGs in particular, such as you don't need to actually pay someone to verify if your asset is high quality. You could just look at the block explorer and see where it came from. You could lend your assets out in a secure way using smart contracts, uh, something that our game is trying to do. And I believe actually has the same tech. You could rent out your cards to other players. They could use it, or you could breed them. Um, and also just asset preservation. You want to make sure your assets are safe. Traditionally, people have been making sure that their cards are secure in plastic sleeves and whatnot. But in Web3 and TCGs, and the tech is it's all digital. So I think that's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, I'd agree with African Beard there. I think part of what he was getting at there is it actually solves a real world problem. So with traditional, I guess, tangible cards in a physical trading card game, they degrade over time. Even if you take the best care of them, it's pretty hard to keep a pristine piece of cardboard for multiple decades or centuries into the future. whereas storing it in a digital format can do that indefinitely. I also think that trading card games are just a lot easier for the general population to get their head around in terms of the value of NFTs. I think that was quite a strange concept for a lot of people to, I guess, understand and appreciate. Whereas the similarity between owning a physical card, like if you look at Magic the Gathering, for example, Black Lotus cards have been selling for a lot of money for a long time. And if you own that card, then you can make the money from it. It just made it a lot easier to, I guess, convey the message to people of the value of these NFT cards and also the ability to earn an income while playing well at the game or, engaging with the collectibles. So, yeah.
For me, I think Artkin made a good point there that TCG, well, TCG is in Web 2, as we say it, is one of the easiest genre to play, but it's one of the hardest to master. Like, there's a saying here in the Philippines, like, Asi's just randomly playing anything you have, right? So I what I also think that the allure of trading card game is that it has already its predecessors. Like there's already a collectible, or there's already Magic the Gathering that people knows that these cards got values. There are already people collecting cards, so it's not that hard for them to grasp the idea that this this NFT or this card might have some value, or really do have some value. So it's something that the idea is not something new. So I think that's the good part for transitioning from the trading card game transitioning to Web3.
Yeah, so I think the main difference of having a trading card game in Web 2 going to Web 3 is that, yeah, number one, of course, is the ownership. You really know that you own the card and it's not just in the game, it's not stuck in the game. You guys can take it out, sell it within the market of the game, or even sell it outside the game entirely. And number two is, I think one of the biggest challenges in Web 2 games is that, if the developers suddenly say that they want to print more of that same card, it's quite painful. For if, for example, you had a card that was rare and suddenly they print more of it, suddenly it loses or it drops its value. But here in Web 3, that is where I feel like we're always so excited whenever there's like a new drop or a new mint. There would be one rare card. There could be cards that could be one of 500s. And unlike in Web 2, here they hold much, much more value. I feel like this thing in trading card games that we do is quite groundbreaking for gaming, that in the future all of us would see our cards not just like an in-game item, but we see it as an asset that would grow eventually into value, especially if more people would want it. So that's what and that is why I also think that a lot of Web3 games look into TCGs. And since it's also, I think, quite easier to develop compared to other games, which would be, if it's like FPS, I'm pretty sure it would be quite difficult to develop a game in the blockchain that is an FPS. So I think that's why everyone's turning into TCG games for Web3.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue too. What I was going to go with is that having TCG and into Web3, right? On the Web2 side, if you have card games, you're just playing the card games. But what we're seeing in Web3 is people are using the NFT and coming up with different games for it, ones that are more immersive too. And I'm sure it's easier now to just stick to our standard TCG type games, but more and more we're seeing immersive games being in development, and FPS is not 100% there yet, but I'm sure down the road we're seeing it already in development. Your NFT could be used in first-person shooter games or other type of strategy games. So that NFT that you have could give you access as a character to many different types of immersive games, and having the ownership be on the blockchain, it really increases your total addressable market. right? If you just had a physical card in hand, you can only sell it to your local sort of regional players. But in NFT, it's a global market. Anyone can buy and sell it. There's no need for KYC. You don't need to put up credit card information or dox yourself, right? So it really expands the opportunity and gives more value to the character or the NFT just because it's a much larger market. So yeah, I'm very excited about what's to come.
I want to throw in a provocative question here. We talked about the value of these assets. We talked about ownership, but how much does the artwork matter, right? A lot of the gamers and the game developers talk about, putting in a lot of effort into the artwork. How much do you think it matters, and how much do game developers and gamers care about the artwork of these cards?
Go ahead, RJ.
All right. So, as a Magic the Gathering player, artwork means a lot to us because if you're a Magic the Gathering player, there's some cards that have multiple versions. That the only thing that changes is the art, and there are artists that makes a ton of money just by creating a new version of it. Like for example, John Avon is very known for his arts for land cards, and his lands are or the land cards that he drew uh, cost a lot more than the normal lands. So for us who are in the Magic the Gathering, it's very important. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think the most important part about the artwork is, of course, as a base of this, it's a game, and a lot of gamers buy skins, and a lot of people are skinners in games. We like to hold on to cards that have, that look beautiful when we have them, which would explain the reason why in Web 2 quite a lot of people would spend quite a lot on just skins. So yeah, of course, in NFT games, it holds so much value because people would want to have something that is unique, that is rare. That's why people would want to spend more into having a certain card that has a rare frame, or a rare card back, or something that is one of one. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that quite a lot of people look into design and look into how the art of the game looks like, because at the end of the day, we want to play a play to earn game that is really fun to play, not just something where you click a few buttons and that's it. You want to play something fun, because that is the basis of a play to earn game. So definitely very valuable.
I think especially in the current market, people are going to be invariably assessing their investment decisions and what NFTs or cards they buy more critically. Now that a bit of the froth has come out of the crypto market more broadly, at least temporarily, this is where I think the projects that have invested very heavily into high quality art and engaging gameplay and a high degree of polish will be rewarded and be the ones that will, I guess, stand the test of time. I feel like over the last couple of years, there was periods where the artwork was potentially not as important as it would be under normal market conditions, just because everyone was kind of FOMOing into any NFT that they thought would make them a quick buck with a flip. But yeah, I agree with RJ and Myrtle. I think it's hugely important now more than ever before.
Yeah, for sure. You all touched up on a very important part that I think all project owners nowadays, or the ones that were a bit quiet working, touch, it holds dear to their heart. Definitely art, and also just knowing that the art was taken into seriously. It's just something that adds a bit extra to that individual that earns it or plays, and gives them a bit more to admire about the game. The art is a big part.
Yeah, no, I agree with everyone here, and I'm sure there's a varying degree of how important the art is, but it's definitely important. And the reason I say that, it could be some very simple sort of clicker type games where the art is important for the user experience and interface, but for other, let's say, more immersive game experience becomes much, much more important. If you're spending a lot of time experiencing the game, playing the game, there's varying degrees, but for all the cases, it's definitely important. And you're seeing, in Web2, people spend tons of money in designing their games, especially the AAA side. So it's definitely a focus item.
That ended up being a lot less controversial than I than I expected it to be, but it's a topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart because I really love watching kind of the art space go, the artists that are coming into the NFT space, and how kind of the art space and the game space are intersecting in Web3. It's really something special to watch. One thing I'm curious about, and periodically it's been mentioned throughout our talk, terms like play to earn, play and earn, play and own, and they've kind of all signified kind of the various different economic models that have been tried within games, and also the different attempts to kind of analyze the Web3 space, where it pertains to gaming by kind of developers and users. And I'm curious from your perspective, what's the right approach? What is the future approach that you see happening where as it pertains to games?
I feel like
Yeah.
oh yeah, I feel like that it's always it's something that we're all learning. The space is just so brand new, and it's a trial and error kind of thing. But you try to make as little error as you can. You know, not really. The basically the test net becomes your best friend when you're really developing these experiences. And yeah, I mean that question is I'll come back to it. I want Miko to go.
Yeah, actually, I'll send it to the group message here too. I had put a thread on this a little while back, not necessarily about the difference between P2E and PNE, but about how I think the general framework of the space, because we're looking at the Web2 games, right? And if you think about Call of Duty, they spent $50 million to make the game, and I think when you add in the marketing and distribution costs, they spent over $200 million for just Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. If you think about Final Fantasy 4, it cost them $45 million to make it and over $100 million just to market the game. So the way I see GameFi and just whole Web3 gaming is when it comes to Web2, Call of Duty, Final Fantasy, they spend all this money and they keep 100% of the profits of the game, right? But in GameFi, the value accrual is more decentralized, meaning the game developer makes money, the player makes money, the breeders make money, the NFT marketplaces, all of the stakeholders in the ecosystem participate in the value that's being created. So I agree it's good to have the rewards for the players and everyone involved. And between play and earn and play to earn, I think maybe play to earn could be the starting point of a new game where that higher reward attracts players, it attracts kind of bootstraps the economy of that game, get a lot of stakeholders involved. But having it just focused on the play to earn is not sustainable. So maybe when a game first launches, it has higher rewards for the first 3 or 4 months, but once it's bootstrapped, has enough capital to develop a more rewarding and immersive experience game, it should transition into the play and earn model where majority of new players that come on, they optimize their gameplay to earn some rewards, but they're not necessarily quitting their jobs to play that game full time. So that's how I kind of see it as the value, the profits are distributed to everyone, not just the developers. And the P2E kind of bootstraps the game economy for the first few months and then needs to transition to PNE.
I'll add on to Miko. Yeah, definitely well put. I 100% agree with you with the aspect of the PDE frame being how a game starts. A lot of these new devs, us specifically, you don't have the ability, to just get in front of a VC or a huge investor and get a huge influx of cash to start your project. It's really all about starting that, putting it out there for the community to see, and a lot of it is crowdfunding. People see the project, they they kind of attach to it. They may not all in first off. They just want to see where it goes. But with more progress, definitely, it's creating a new way for games to start.
I have sort of a different opinion with that. The main case study would be Axie Infinity again. Uh, when they transitioned from play to earn to play and earn, we saw a big drop on the user base. Like right now, I think the latest number that I saw was less than a million from more than 2 million players, daily active users. And I think if the initial start would be giving out a lot of rewards that would, of course, skew the economics. And I'm not sure if you would have enough support from the community once this because I think it's safe to say that some of or majority still of the gamers going inside the game, if it's a play to earn game, once of course the economic incentives, and once you lessen that, and they felt that, oh, this is not profitable anymore, you might not have enough time to transition to play and earn. So I think starting with a play and earn, so that your community psychology would be, oh, we're here for the long term, we're here to enjoy the game, would be stronger than people thinking that I'm just here for the economic incentive.
I would say that, yeah, I largely agree with what everyone said here, but one thing that I would, I guess, like to differentiate is I feel like if a project prioritizes, whether it's play to earn or play and earn from the outset, if it prioritizes the purpose of the economic incentivization to bootstrap the game and provide some skin in the game for the community members to share in the upside, then I still think that they can be successful if they have invested in a game that is heavily polished, fun, immersive, and engaging in its own right. Because I feel that that can do a better job of retaining the player base and allowing the game community to spread via word of mouth. I feel like a lot of the games that were play to earn, they really lacked some of that polish and that engaging gameplay. They were kind of just some of them would just be more of a dressed up way to engage with the blockchain, click a couple buttons, earn some money. And I feel like if you've only built a shell of a game like that, and focus too heavily on the play to earn, then it's only natural that once you adjust your mentality or the, I guess, economic model, and sometimes that's necessary because it just becomes too inflationary and you're not getting enough new players in, then you're just going to see a big outflow of players. Yeah.
Not meeting to gang up, but yeah, I completely agree with that. Definitely quality put into the games that are being built will definitely stand the test of time. I think a lot of us still play some old classic games that no one really plays anymore. If even if it has their servers up, you try to connect to a match, no one's playing, but it just appealed to it. It's one of those things where uh, it, this the market downturn is going to allow a lot of people to just zoom out and see what projects are really putting an effort and trying to make the space a bit better.
Yeah, so to add on to that, I completely agree with everyone. But for me, I really see the future going into gaming as a democratized space where not only the developers but all the players own a piece of the game. And it's pretty exciting to see gaming that way, that here even the players have the power to dictate what's going to happen into the game, hold value for their items, for their cards, for their equipment. And from play to earn and play and earn, as well as free to play games where you can eventually farm to earn, I find it really interesting that we're seeing this all unfold right in front of us right now. So, what would be the best template for the future games? We still don't exactly know, but it's pretty exciting to be early, to be open minded, to see everything happening right in front of us.
I so agree with this sentiment. I think that games are going to be more than just like revenue sources or even sources of fun. That they're really going to be self-sustaining worlds, the successful ones at least. And I think that's immensely exciting. I want to open up the floor for questions. So if you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand, and I will call you up to ask our speakers a question. In the meantime. I always like to ask this at the end. What is everybody excited for where it comes to trading card games in the next few months, in the next few years?
Personally, I'll start with my personal excitement. So as mentioned before, we're launching, or we're currently working on a game called Ender's Gate, the TCG, and we're partnered up with Harmony Blockchain. They're really quick. We love their responsiveness, both when we need to speak to them, and also the tech side. Um, they've shown a great interest in increasing their tech and just branching out and attaching, creating bridges to all different blockchains out there. So I'm personally excited to see more of their tech develop, as well as the PvP playtest that we have coming up in the next few months. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I think it's going to be next month, June, when we actually launch the PvP test. And also we have our pack sale that's starting the 23rd of this month. But yeah, aside from that, I'm just really excited to see what other projects come into the blockchain. I know bigger companies, AAA companies, are looking into the space, but they're just all doing their research, and they're assembling their little ghost teams to work in the back end. So yep, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I'd agree with African Beard, but I'd also take some of what Myrtle was saying earlier for what I'm excited about personally. So we're in a similar situation. We're going to be rolling out the alpha for Rainy the Lords of Light very soon, within a space of weeks. So I'm really excited, mostly about getting a lot of community feedback and engagement, because I feel like, as Myrtle was saying, we are in this Web3 world where all of the gamers are kind of proxy owners in the project. They share in the upside, not just the developers and the designers. So I think you get a higher degree of engagement from the community. From what we've seen in building the Lords of Light, the community is a lot more ready and willing to provide ideas, feedback, to step up and volunteer their time, whether it's moderating socials, or in this case, a lot of interest in playtesting the game. And I think that data you can get from that is invaluable compared to a more Web2 game, where you have to have it to a very high degree of polish to convince people to spend their time on it in the first place, because they don't benefit from the network growth that you do in a Web3 world instead.
Yeah, really quiet. Nobody's excited about anything. I'm going to pick on somebody. RJ, what are you excited about?
Yeah, so yeah, excited to actually try a lot of games, especially Ender's Gate. It will be really cool to see what you guys are working on. And for the future, I think I would love to see the big boys also coming into the blockchain. Like, imagine if like Pokemon's, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic the Gathering enters the space. So I think it would really solidify that blockchain gaming is here to stay, right?
Yeah.
I'm for being quiet earlier, but yeah, a lot of people are tweeting me. So, to add on to that, I'm really excited about is playing really exciting games on the space. So we last year quite a lot of games started developing, and we're seeing quite a lot of them to be released this year. We know that quite a lot of games have their roadmap to be released this year as well, so it's pretty exciting to see that. I also am pretty excited about the fact that um, it's becoming more and more acceptable here in the Philippines to be more exposed into crypto, to be more exposed into the blockchain. You know, previously, sometimes people would look down upon you if you're a gamer. But right now, if you are a gamer, people are quite amazed if you find a way to play and earn as you play. So, like, including my parents, they're pretty shocked that we've given quite a lot of opportunities to gamers to start playing. Even my mom, she used to just look as gaming as something that's for fun. Even my dad, but because of these multiple games like Axie, I also did Mir 4. I also do a lot of other games like crypto golf and everything. They've seen that, hey, there's so many opportunities into NFT gaming that could open up quite a lot of future opportunities for everyone in this space. And we're still quite early. So with this technology, I'm excited to see who can maximize, who can create something new, who can develop something that will really change the world, because that's where we are headed. We're headed to this world where we can just change the way things are. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm very excited to be a part of this space.
Yeah, and like I was saying, if you look at the Web2 world, the developers spend a lot of money and they keep all the profits. And like everyone here is saying too, is in this new gaming industry, everyone gets to participate in the value that gets accrued. The players, the breeders, the marketplaces. In terms of specific games that I'm excited about, I've been pretty deep in the Avalanche GameFi ecosystem recently. So there's some very cool AAA games coming up. Shrapnel is one. It's a first-person shooter game. I think some of the developers there are backed by or used to work at HBO and Warner Brothers, those big companies. And then Ascenders is an RPG game. Pulsar is another game being developed. It's like going to be similar to an RTS game. So a lot of cool games coming up there. Another one is, I think, Illuvium. I have my eye on. So I'm super excited about these immersive sort of 3D games that are coming up.
That was very packed packed excitement. Lots of names being dropped in there. But yeah, I will echo everything that's being said here. Super exciting to see how the technology is evolving and seeing some of the new and exciting games that are being built. I think people often forget that game development cycles are a little bit different than what you'd see in DeFi. Some of the more exciting games, they do take 2 to 4 years to develop. And so a lot of the stuff that's been being built quietly for some time is just about ready to start, showing up. And it's really exciting to have a chance to start playing, start testing, start participating in all of this world. I want to, we're at the top of the hour. I want to thank all of the speakers for joining us and for sharing their thoughts. Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody in the audience for joining in and listening. The talk will be posted later on as either as a YouTube or podcast or both. We'll be back here next week. And as a spoiler, we'll be talking about MOBAs. So if you're into that game style, join us next week, and we'll have some more exciting speakers here for you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, and see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.